Hey guys, it's Dane at ZIMM'S Guitars, and I got Nathan down here today. Nathan, how you been?
Good, man. How are you?
He's going to participate in one of my videos. This is a customer showcase video. So open that thing up. Let's see what you got.
So here we got a 1963 6124 Gretsch single anniversary.
A Gretsch. Not the original case, or is it the original case?
No, it's not the original. But
Here, go ahead and grab that, and we will. Let's get this case out of the way. Not the original case. We don't even want to look at it. You need a case. Maybe I could sell you a case if you need one.
Sounds good.
So let's set this down here. All right. So a 1963.
Yep, all original. It's got the original Hylotron pickup in it right there. Those are like Gretsch's lower output compared to a lot of the Filtertrons that they put in there. You can see down in there we got the card that has the serial number and the model on it. That's before they switched to putting the serial numbers on the back of the headstocks. So if you look on the back, there won't be a stamp or anything.
What year did they start putting the serial number on the back?
I think it was mid-60s, around like 65 if I remember correctly. But this one was one of the first years where they put the little plate on there that says the model. So this one's the anniversary. And you got the Gretsch inlay up there. It's got the
1963 anniversary model. What anniversary are they celebrating here?
It's their anniversary from when they started in I think it says 1883. So this was a 63, so it was
80-year anniversary? Let's do math. Let's do math.
80 years.
Okay.
So we got the original Gretsch G cutout tailpiece on there. A lot of people like to put Bigsby's on them, so you'll see a lot with Bigsby's.
Because it's just these 3 screws, and the Bigsby will lay right on there. You don't have to drill into this or anything.
Right.
Because those it's an easy install.
Right. And then this is a floating space control bridge. So if you take all the strings off, the bridge will move around.
Right.
And that's how you set the intonation. Because if you look on here, it doesn't have adjustable saddles really.
Right.
You
just scoot it forward and back a little bit.
Right. So kind of the best thing you could do is make sure that you have both E strings intonated properly, and hope
and then
that the
everything
rest
that falls in the middle just falls into place.
Right. One special thing about this this specific one, I haven't seen a lot of the anniversary models with neck binding, so I was pretty stoked to see that this one had it, because it makes it feel a little more finished. Makes it feel like a more proper guitar, you know. Just a little detail that makes a big difference in my opinion.
And it has the thumbnail inlays.
Yep, thumbnails.
I know why they called that, huh?
And if you noticed, we got a switch right here, but there's only one pickup. So what that is it's actually a tone switch rather than having a tone knob on the guitar. A lot of people call it the mud switch, because when it's in the middle position, it's as if your tone knob is just rolled all the way up to 10. If you flip it down, then it's as if you rolled off half of your tone. And then if you flip it in the up position, it's as if you rolled off all of your tone. So
the dark circuit up there.
Yeah, it's a lot darker. Some people say it's muddier, right?
Huh.
So I mostly just play with it right in the middle. But could definitely get some killer like jazz tones out of it when you flip the switch. And
what kind of strings are you playing on there? Do you have the flat wounds? No, these.
No, it actually, when I got the guitar, I had flat wounds on it, and I liked them. But I played D'Addario NYXLs. So these are 10 to 52s, and those just feel the best to me. They last the longest for me.
And because of this bridge, when you change the strings on there, you do one string at a time.
Yep, one string at a time. Which I don't know. I'm not a big fan of doing one string at a time, but I'll have to do it if I have to.
Makes it hard to clean the fretboard.
Exactly. That's the exact reason why.
What did you say the pickup was in this thing?
That's a Gretsch Hylotron. So it's a single coil pickup, and I measured it, and it measures at 3.08, 3,000 ohms. Sorry.
Wow, that's
couldn't think of the word. Yeah, so they're pretty low output, but
Strats are around the 5.
Yeah, so it's definitely lower. It's kind of like on the complete opposite end as Gretsch's Filtertrons, because the Filtertrons measure pretty high up there. But it's honestly not too low of an output for me. It works just right, and still get some good clear tones out of it.
So 1963, this thing is in really nice condition. Let's see the back of it just so we can look at condition.
Yeah, it's got some few nicks here and there. Like if you look on the side there, it's got some scratches, a few dings. Nothing too major. There's not a whole lot of buckle rash on the back. There is a few marks, you know. It's like a 63, so it's pretty old.
But as far as cracks, there's no cracks anywhere, is there?
Yeah, no cracks. Not a lot of checking either, which I was kind of surprised when I got it. I'm sure it has to do with some sort of finish that they use that doesn't check that much. But it's never had any headstock breaks or repairs or anything. It's got the original tuners on there, the open back tuners. Stays in tune pretty well. That was another thing I was a little nervous before I actually got the guitar, was how well it was going to stay in tune.
Yeah, because you ordered this thing online. Is this a Reverb sale? You bought this on Reverb?
Yep, got it off Reverb. It came from Oregon, so their climate's pretty different than ours out here, so I was a little nervous about that too.
Yeah, you might want to keep a humidifier in its case.
Right.
It's going to dry out.
One other thing that I want to point out is one of the main things on the old Gretches is, you might have heard of it, they get binding rot. So all the binding that's on here, especially the back of the neck on the heel right there, along the edges, along the neck if it has neck binding.
Binding rot?
Yeah, so it's called binding rot, and the binding will actually start to rot away and start to flake off. So a lot of the times you'll see that they turn dark brown and yellow, and they start to crack, and then as it cracks more and more, it'll just start flaking off.
I had an Ovation years and years ago that started doing that.
Yep. It happens to a lot of the old Gretches, old Guilds, stuff like that with binding. But if you see, this one is like in really good condition. There's like a little crack right there on the binding at the bottom. But
that might have been where it was seamed together, both pieces, right?
Yeah, that's true. Because, yeah, that's a pretty straight crack. I didn't even think about that. But that's one of the main things I was looking for whenever I knew I was going to buy a vintage Gretsch, is because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to do any binding repairs.
Yeah.
So if,
well, that's good.
Look all around the sides, and it looks all in good condition. A lot of the times you'll see people put a plate around the jack here. And it's because, you know, if you're in a hurry, you're up on stage or whatever, and you jam your guitar cable in there, and sometimes you'll push it right through the side of the guitar. A lot of people put a plate on the side there. But
that's a good idea, I guess.
This one doesn't have one, so have to be a little careful with that.
Let me ask you about the pickguard. What product do they use in 1963? Is that plastic?
I'm not sure. It's kind of feels like it. It's got a little crack in there, but it's pretty thick. You know, it's a lot thicker than like the pickguard's Fender would put on theirs.
So I was just thinking, maybe is it like that Bakelite stuff that they use?
Could be.
Yeah. Not
sure. Definitely looks cool though. It's the pickup ring's in pretty good shape there. And a lot of the times those crack too, just like pickguards.
Yeah, so whoever owned this before you got it really did a nice job of keeping it in nice condition. Because 1963, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah. It's like,
and a lot could happen to a guitar in all those years.
55 years or so.
Yeah.
But the frets are all in pretty good shape. You know, they're not too low or anything, so it definitely doesn't need a refret yet. Might in the future. But it's got a rosewood neck. You know, a lot of the times, so the anniversaries, while they're not like low quality guitars or anything, they're definitely the cheaper of the vintage Gretsches. You know, the 6120s are the ones everyone wants, the Nashvilles.
Okay.
The Tennesseans, the 6119s, all the Chet Atkins models. You know, those ones demand high dollar. And
what'd you end up getting this thing for, if you don't mind me asking, and the whole YouTube world's gonna know?
After
you gonna keep
shipping,
that a secret, or you want to let us in on the deal you got?
After shipping, I paid like $940 for it.
Wow.
Which is pretty good. You know, you see some of them going for upwards of like $2,000 if they're in good condition. And so I think I got a pretty good deal on it, you know.
I think so too. Yeah, that surprised me.
Yeah. So I saw it on there. It was it popped up on my Reverb feed while I was at Disneyland, actually. And I was
the happiest place on earth.
I was waiting in line
to get a text like that, huh?
Right. I was waiting in line for like Thunder Mountain or something, waiting to ride, and I saw it, and you know, I showed my girlfriend, and I was like, "Oh man, like this is a killer price. I've always wanted a Gretsch. I've always had my eye on them, so I listed a few guitars I actually bought down here at ZIMM'S, and a few pedals, and I was able to sell them while I was actually still at Disneyland. So that day, I sold them. Someone called me up while I was still at the park. And, you know, once I knew that I was going to be able to sell them pretty quickly, I bought this guitar.
So how nervous was you buying a guitar on Reverb?
You know, I've bought a few on there before. One of my main guitars, a Fender Mustang. I bought on Reverb when I was in high school. I've bought a Dan Electro on Reverb a while back. And, you know, Reverb has really good seller and buyer protection. So I knew if anything showed up and, you know, it wasn't the guitar in the picture, or it had a headstock break or something that wasn't advertised, I knew that I'd be able to send it back and get my money back, no problem.
Did they have a video attached when you watched? Because I know that you can, a lot of times when you're selling a guitar on Reverb, you can attach a video. You can attach the video.
Right. They didn't have a video, but they had a ton of pictures. And before I even placed an offer on it, I actually sent them a message and asked for more specific pictures. You know, I wanted pictures down the neck to make sure it was straight. I wanted pictures with a quarter stuck next to the E strings to see how high the action was.
Well, you really made them earn their money, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely asked them a few questions because, you know, like you said, buying it sight unseen, you know, through Reverb, a lot of people like to play their guitars before they buy them, and I'm included in that.
Right.
You know, so.
Right.
But I definitely asked them tons of questions and had them send me some more detailed pictures, and it was actually not a private seller on Reverb. It was a shop too. So
it was a store.
Yeah, so it was a guitar shop.
Have you had that truss rod cover off of there? Have you tried to adjust the truss rod?
No, I haven't. They actually set up the guitar real nice before they sent it to me. Mm-hmm. So they had it set up as a jazz guitar whenever they sent it, because they had the action's real low on it. I moved it up just a tad bit. Mm-hmm. And I lowered the pole pieces in the Hylotron here, because these pickups, you can't adjust the height of them. There's no springs. Like if you pull down a Strat or a Les Paul off the wall, you know, you always got the two screws on the side. And at first,
the only adjustment you can do are the pole pieces.
Right. So whenever I got the guitar, these pole pieces were pulled up super, super high, and it had flat wound strings on it, and the action was super, super low. And you know, if I was playing it through my Bassman and I cranked it up a little bit, mm-hmm. and since it's a full hollow body and the pickup was that close to the strings, you know, it starts feeding back. And if you hit the strings hard enough, they'll actually hit the pole pieces, you know, and it makes that clicking noise. And so yeah, I had to do a little bit of adjustments on it. Luckily the neck was had the perfect amount of bow in it, mm-hmm. you know, set up real nice. So I haven't had to do anything with the truss rod, but that is one of the questions that I asked. I think that's the first one I asked, was how the neck was set, if it was going to need a reset, or if the truss rod still worked. And they said it all worked perfectly fine. So luckily I haven't had to do any adjustments yet, but we'll see.
I think you got a good one, man. I think you got a good one. Let's plug it in. You want to play it for us a while?
Yep.
Okay,
good.
Here we go.
All right, so here's the Gretsch. Just like Mark Agnesi says, we're going through a stock 410 DeVille, little bit of reverb, all EQs at noon.
There you go.
Here's the neck pickup.
Super cool. Let's hear that. Let's hear that dark circuit in that thing.
All right. So right now, here I'll play some. So that's with it, with the tone technically rolled all the way up.
Okay.
Here's it with the tone switched halfway down. And then I'll flip it up. So this is the tone rolled all the way off. So it's definitely a pretty big difference. You can see why they call it the mud switch, because, you know, it kind of muddies up the tone a little bit.
Yeah, you can definitely hear it.
Right. But, you know, it's already got the neck pickup only, and it's already got a full hollow body. So it already has quite a bit of a bass response to it. It picks up the bass notes really well. Like if I'm just... Like that's already pretty bass heavy right there as it is. So that's why a lot of people... you know, Brian Setzer, he's a big Gretsch player, 6120s though.
Right.
But the 6120s have a pickup selector and the mud switch, the tone switch. And if you look at his main guitars, he actually takes this switch completely out and will just bypass the entire switch, so that he technically doesn't even have a tone knob or a tone switch at all.
He doesn't want to accidentally be halfway through a song and realize that his mud switch was on.
Right, right.
You know?
Yeah, so, you know, I'll just leave it in there, but I'll just leave it right in the middle. I think that's where it sounds the best. So.
I think so too, yeah. That's really cool, man. Great guitar. About the neck, but what do you say about the size of the neck? Is it a chunky neck? Is it thin? Is it a C shape? What's your thoughts on that neck?
I'd say it's C shaped. You know, it's kind of thick, which I actually like that a lot. I don't really like when it's got a thin neck and I can barely feel it in my hand.
Right.
You know, it's kind of funny because my first guitar, it was a J. Tercer Les Paul. My parents bought it for me when I was like in 8th grade, and it had a super small neck, and I just got used to it. You know, it's really the only electric guitar that I ever had or played, and I just thought that that's how electric guitars felt. You know.
Right.
So then, as I started playing more and more, and you know, that was already like almost 10 years ago now. So
I remember that 65 Melody Maker you had.
Yeah, the Melody Maker. That's actually I don't have that guitar anymore. And the only thing that I miss about that thing was actually the neck, because just like this one, it had a chunky neck on it. And then, like I said, that's what I really like the most, is like a nice thick neck. You know, it's not a big old baseball bat or anything like some of those old Gibsons can be really thick necks, but it's definitely on the bigger side, which I like. So plays really cool, sounds good.
You know, Glenn, another guy that comes in and does videos with me, he brought in an old, like, I think it was a 56 Gibson Junior, Les Paul Junior.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that video.
Neck was so thick, but it played great.
Right.
Super great action on it. I'd love to have that neck cut.
Yep, awesome.
Nathan, thanks for coming in today, man.
Of course, man.
I really appreciate it.
Guitars. See you.
Bye, guys.